our first Vice President and COO will give a brief closing remark. And Jim, go ahead.
Lapa, thanks for that. Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Narron. I'm the first Vice President and Chief Operating Officer here at the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia. So I just want to echo what others have said already today, and thanks for joining us. It really was quite a day, and really we're only halfway done. So a huge congratulations to all the organizers to what's been a terrific conference so far. So my boss, Pat Harker, mentioned this just a little while ago. Same holds for me, the standard Fed disclaimer. What I'm going to say today is just for myself, not for anyone else on the Federal Reserve System or the Federal Open Market Committee. Pat also mentioned that we're just living in an era of really remarkable developments in fintech. In some cases, we're seeing, in effect, sort of new digital versions of things that we've done previously in the analog world. And not all of it's being developed out of whole cloth, or I guess in this case, whole ones and zeros. And this really got me thinking back to a time in the late 1990s, before I worked at the Fed. I worked in banking. I was on a business trip down to Brazil. I'd taken a group of bankers out to dinner. And when the bill came, the server asked me in Portuguese how many payments I wanted to make. And I was a little baffled by this. And I realized what he was saying was that I could either make these payments in a single payment, or I could actually pay for this meal in installments. So it was this early version of what we call in fintech now, buy now and pay later. And honestly, at least at that time, commercial bankers could rack up a bill at a restaurant. So I actually did think, maybe I should make this in installments. But I'd say that this widespread adoption really holds great promise, I think, for financial inclusion, what we were just talking about. Really offering credit to folks who maybe lack traditional sources of lending, like a credit card, for example. So an essential purchase like a mattress, or it's really cold in Philadelphia today, so that new winter coat, makes it a whole lot easier if a person, has maybe some limited income or just has difficulty matching income to payments, and they can spread those payments out. And keep in mind, like, even if a person does have a credit card, sometimes it's just tough to make that entire bill payment at the end of a cycle, especially if you've made a really big purchase. So this idea of, buy now, pay later, I think really does have the potential for a much better way for people to finance payments, or an alternate way for some of those purchases, often without the, big interest payments. We also heard from merchants, and we hear from them frequently, who are big fans of the buy now, pay later also, because it gives them the ability to reach consumers who might otherwise, just not be able to afford a more expensive purchase. Now, I know the U.S. has lagged behind in this space, but we're catching up, and we're catching up pretty quickly. So it's really an exciting time. This is an exciting development for us here at the Fed in particular, because we believe, or I should say we know, that the economy is just going to do better and reach its full potential when everyone can participate in it. So this idea of extending financial services to low and moderate income Americans is really crucial to make sure everyone is included in the economy and in our economic growth. If I can just engage in just a brief bit of shameless plugging for the Philadelphia Fed, our Consumer Finance Institute and our Economic Growth and Mobility Project are just a couple of places where we're performing some really important research that has implications for how policymakers, industry, might think about access to important financial services. So I'd encourage you, if you haven't done so before, take a look at our website. It's pretty simple. It's philadelphiafed.org. There'll be links to our Consumer Finance Institute and the Economic Growth and Mobility Project out there. So just encourage you to take a look. This idea of promoting, financial inclusion, it's not just true here in the U.S. This is true globally. Almost 2 billion people, I think 1.7 billion people on the planet are still unbanked. And so broadly, fintech really has the potential to reach a lot of people. We're already seeing this in countries right now where folks, maybe don't have that traditional bank account and are using other forms of payments, maybe on their mobile phones, to make, multiple payments now. So this idea of sort of digital payments, offering people more speed, ability to, sometimes circumvent or get around these bureaucratic processes we have in some countries to open a bank account is pretty important. And I'd say also when you think about, the need for low-cost remittance services, that's another important way for, sending payments back home at a lower cost. And I think that's an exciting development as well for really millions of people around the world who are working away from their families. And of course, we started the conversation today talking about open banking and the ability that has to just bring more tools to more folks in financial services, and sort of the data behind that, and this more holistic view of how people earn, spend, save. That's more than just that narrow slice that you can see in a credit report. So, potential to give lenders more accurate portrayal of how creditworthy a consumer might be. And lastly, I should mention the work that the Fed's doing in this space. With our faster payment service, FedNow, under development, and just the ability that could have also for helping facilitate payments potentially to low and moderate income consumers here in the U.S. as well. So in a nutshell, pretty exciting times for us here. So I want to thank you all for joining us, and a special thanks to the panelists and the speakers as well. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow afternoon.